Okay, so let's take a look at this. In case you're wondering, we're in Chapter 9, Section 4. So I'm going to write this like right here. Chapter 9, Section 4. Our essential question, how do you evaluate composite functions? And so we have two functions here, f of x. Let me highlight that for you. Then we also have g of x. And then we have to evaluate this function right here. And this one looks kind of interesting, doesn't it? But it's kind of obvious. What do you think it's asking you to do? Yes, it's asking you to add f of x and g of x together. So that's exactly what we're going to do right now, okay? So what was f of x? Yeah, that was 2x squared plus 4x minus 6 right here. And then what was g of x? 2x minus 2. And what are we going to do? We're going to add them together. So we're going to go this plus g of x, 2x minus 2. So from here, it's pretty simple. You're just combining like terms. The x squared is by itself. Then we have plus 4x plus 2x. If this is a minus, we have to distribute, but we don't have to, so don't worry about the parentheses. And then finally, we have negative 6 and negative 2. So let's combine them. I have 2x squared here, and then 4x plus 2x is 6x. And then negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8. And guess what? That's it. And you don't have to factor it or anything like that. That was super easy. Now the next thing, what do you think this is asking you to do? Everything is just really common sense. So you're going to go f of x minus g of x, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's try and remember what was f of x. Let me go back. F of x is 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. Did I write that right? No, plus 4x minus 6. Plus 4x, and then it's minus 6. So let me just go ahead and change that. And then I have to subtract f of x from, I have to subtract g of x from f of x, right? So what is g of x? G of x is 2x minus 2. So I'm going to subtract 2x minus 2. Right? So this is f of x and this is g of x. Now the tricky part over here, we're subtracting, right? So when we subtract, we always have to remember before we open up the parentheses, we have to distribute the negative, okay? So that's going to give us 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. Then when you distribute the negative to the 2x, you get negative 2x. And the negative 2 now turns into a positive 2. From here, we're combining like terms. We have 2x squared by itself. And then we have the plus 4x minus 2x. And finally, we have the negative 6 and the positive 2. So then, my answer is going to be 2x squared. 4x minus 2x is 2x. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. All right, so once again, super easy. I don't require you to go any further than that. So we're in our second question. Again, same thing. We have f of x is this and g of x is that. It's the exact same as the first one. But this time they're giving us something different. There's no plus or minus in between the g and the f. It's just g and f. So you know right away that means you have to multiply, right? So we have to multiply those two together. So what was f of x? 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. Always remember to put them in parentheses. We're going to multiply that with g of x, 2x minus 2. And you know how to do this, right? You have to use the box method. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my box. Except over here I got 1, 2, 3 terms. So I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 rows. So 1 is for 2x squared, obviously. The next one is for 4x. And then the next one is for negative 6. Okay, and then there's only 2 terms here, so going down, I'm only making 2 rows, 1 for 2x and 1 for negative 2. Then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply everything on the outside. So 2x squared times 2x is 4x to the third power, because there's 2 x's and you're multiplying 1 more x, so there's 3, right? 4x times 2x is 4 times 2 is 8, and then x times x is x squared. Negative 6 times 2x is negative 12x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and then we have x squared. There's no x's here, so you can just bring it down when you multiply. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 with the x. Don't forget the x here. Negative 6 times negative 2 is a positive 12. Now we have to combine like terms, right? So let's see. This 2, you have to add them together, and this 2, you gotta add them together. So what's my answer going to be? Very easy. 4x to the third power, because it's all by itself. And then the 2 squares, you gotta add them. 8 plus negative 4 is positive 4x squared. And then negative 12x plus negative 8x, same symbol, you gotta add them, right? So that's negative 20x. Then finally, I have plus 12. And that's it. There's nothing else I have to do. So the next one is a division problem, f of x divided by g of x. So what was f of x again? 2x squared plus 4x minus 6, right? And we have to divide that by g of x, and g of x was 2x minus 2. Alright, so then when we have to divide, do you guys remember how to do this? Yeah, you have to first factor it, right? Okay. So then let's see. I can look at the top and I know that I could divide everything by 2. Can you realize that too? You can divide this by 2, divide this by 2, and divide that by 2, right? So what that means is I'm going to pull out the 2. And now I'm going to be dividing it. I'm going to be left with x squared. And then 4x divided by 2 is 2x. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Down here, guess what? I can divide both of them by 2 again. I'm going to pull out the 2. And then I have x minus 1. Okay? So I already know right away that the 2's are going to get canceled out. But guess what? Over here, I know that I can do the big X. So let's do the big X. This is my scratch paper area. So 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. That's what goes on top. The 2 goes at the bottom. So then, what times what is negative 3, and what plus what is 2? Let me see. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, and 3 plus negative 1 is 2. My leading coefficient here, you see that, is a 1. So I'm going to put 1 on top of my fraction bars, and 3 and negative 1 goes at the bottom. I can't simplify, so my factored form is, because I gotta put x on top, x plus 3 and x minus 1. Okay? So let me go ahead and put that on top. X plus 3, x minus 1. At the bottom is x minus 1. So now it's kind of obvious that we can cancel out the x minus 1. And so my answer is x plus 3. Now whenever you divide something like this, you're working with fractions. Remember, the bottom part, the 2x minus 2, cannot ever equal 0. Okay? So you have to really mention that. Okay? So then just let me erase this scratch paper area really fast. And what you're going to do is you're going to put that down. You're going to have to remember that this cannot equal 0. So we're going to say 2x minus 2 cannot equal 0. So let's add 2 to both sides. 2x cannot equal 2. You divide both sides by 2. X cannot equal 1. So your answer is going to be x plus 3 and x cannot equal 1. Okay? I'm going to stop right here because the truth is I have to explain to you about this, but I'm running out of time. So I'm going to go ahead and explain that to you in the next video. Okay?